Ladies and gentlemen, get ready for Tech Talk with MazTech and RunesZar.
Welcome to the second episode of our Tech Talk podcast. I am joined by the one and only Radio RunesZar, my co-host.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Lovely to see you all.
And my man RunesZar has a brand new headset and mic. So I think it sounds great, by the way. I'm actually being joined also by two really cool guests. A very close friend of mine. Been friends for over a year on YouTube. A fellow YouTuber of mine, Dimi V Gaming. Say hello, sir.
Hello, sir. How you doing, guys?
Oh my God, you had to go there.
Yeah, sorry.
And
couldn't help it.
A big up-and-comer at the moment, Neumatix. Say hello, man.
Hey, how's it going, everyone?
Very glad to have you guys on. I really appreciate the time you guys are taking. Rune, I wanted to start off, one thing that I was going to do, I mentioned it in our Discord server. That kind of changed my mind. I said I was going to be dropping a video on No Man's Sky, because they had if you remember, No Man's Sky released in 2016. Lots of hype surrounding it, like 2 years of hype surrounding this game. It's going to be a game unlike anything you've ever played before. It is a game where you go into a ship and you have virtually an infinite amount of planets and universes that you can run into. All kinds of different things that you can do. It comes out and it falls completely on its face. Would you agree with that?
100%. Unfortunately, what they wanted to present, they just didn't, and what people were expecting failed to enjoy, and it just didn't deliver, sadly.
For sure. And what ended up happening at that point is it had a really bad press. It had a really bad reception from the gamers, the people that were really excited about it. And I think a lot of that had to do with them talking it up so much. Oh, you're not going to believe what we have here. This is going to be something special. And they just talked it up and talked it up and talked it up to the point where it was just a letdown. It was not a big payoff. So fast forward 2 years to 2018, and I'm not talking about they just slapped this together. From the time this came out, they were working on the next update, which added more textures. It added more items to the game. It added more to everything, including the detail in space. The space stations that you went to back in 2016 were completely bare and empty. They added merchants. They added all kinds of different things to do in the game. And all of a sudden, it's an absolute masterpiece, and people love it. Now, I didn't even give it a chance from 2016 to 2018. I really, and it's something I don't usually do, I went with the critics and said, screw that. I'm not wasting my hard-earned money on that. Well, fast forward to this next update, and it's absolutely phenomenal. So here's the next thing. They are coming out this summer with a 3-part update called No Man's Sky Beyond. Now, what that's supposed to do, it's a 3-prong approach, and the first part of it, which is actually the only part that's been disclosed at the moment, is a social media and multiplayer facet. Now, you can play the game right now, multiplayer. You can play with up to, I think it's 4 people, Rune?
I believe so. That's usually the standard group number, yeah.
Because you play up to 4 people, and then anybody that's around you that you might be interacting with, they just show up as like shiny orbs. And I think that was kind of has to do with the limitations. But now they're encouraging social media and meeting up in space and everything like that, because the game is so expansive that you could theoretically never find another player in that game if you were playing solo. So I'm really excited about this because I thought the game was phenomenal once they came out with the next update. It's getting more and more popular. I have some videos about it on my channel right now. Rune, what are your thoughts about what they're doing moving forward?
Rumour has its place in all facets of life, and quite often in gaming. There is one rumour I have picked up concerning No Man's Sky, and hold on to your hat. How about, instead of 4 of you crewing one ship, you can have multiple crews in a fleet.
That would be awesome.
That would literally be like being slapped with a wet herring, but a scented one.
I thought you were gonna say it's gonna be 5 people now.
Yeah.
No, it's
Forget 4. We're adding
of you
one
on
multiplayer member.
one ship on one cruiser, capital ship. I'm not too sure what they're going to call them, but there's literally 4 of you operating this ship. That is a rumor I picked up on. I don't know how true it is. It might be just a flight of fancy. It might be solid fact. It might be something the devs don't want us to know about. But it's being leaked. Come on, let's face it. 4 people on one ship, cruising around the galaxy, having a laugh, making mistakes, crashing into things. You can't beat that. But an entire squadron of ships, with each one with 4 players on, and a massive crew. Come on, that is something of it's a science fiction fan's wet dream.
I love it. One thing that kind of stuck out to me is that the president of the company, he went ahead and said that this update would be free for existing players. Now, am I the only one that's really reading too far into that word existing? Because is this something that's going to be an additional cost to somebody who doesn't currently own the game? Or is this something that's going to be free all the time? Why would they go out of their way to say it's free to existing players?
Well, maybe you're gonna be paying for the whole package as a new player, instantly.
Okay, so with this update, and that's a good point, and he also addressed that in the article. It's not an MMO. I don't even know why he said that, because it has nothing to do with, it doesn't necessarily have anything to do with money or financial transactions. But it did say that there was not going to be a monthly cost to it, and there was going to be no microtransactions in the game. Now, if you go back to the controversy that is Payday 2, they also said when they came out with the game that there would be no microtransactions, and to this day, there are microtransactions. So it's one thing that can change. It does sound like DLC, like we're hearing some of the comments in the, or seeing some of the comments in our live chat here. But does that mean that if you don't get it now, or by the time the update comes out, you don't get the update? Is it an expansion pack? Or is this something that's going to be included with your base game? Because they've got, like I said, it's a 3-prong approach. Right now, what we know, and I will definitely keep my ear to the rail a lot better moving forward now that I know that this is coming out. What I do know is that it's going to have to do with social media and multiplayer right now. There are 2 other facets, and they're keeping their cards close to the chest because they don't, I think they don't want to have the letdown like they did when they released the game originally in 2016. But there are going to be 2 other parts to this update. It's going to be a massive update. It's bigger than the next update, and that next update was insane. It was gigantic. So you guys think that it's DLC, or am I just like I said, just reading into it?
I don't know. It kind of seems like DLC a bit. I mean, but I would like to know too if you're kind of grandfathered in at a certain point after you've bought the game, and like, okay, I bought the game at this point, so that's free. You know what I mean? Do they have like set in stone, or because then it's going to get really confusing, and they actually might tick some people off if they, some people bought the game and they were expecting to get it for free, and they end up not getting it for free, and are like, what's going on, and get a bunch of complaints. I could see that happening, unfortunately, but I mean, with anything like that, you can't really have any loose ends.
It's a very good point. And I think a lot of the players, I think the next update definitely brought in, and it actually said it in the article, that brought in a lot of new players, but I think that they made these updates with your existing disappointed original players in mind. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah.
Yes. As Neumatix and ELG just said, sounds like a DLC, but what I think it might be is that the price of the game might be going up. Now, if you've already got the game, like me and you, Matt, we've already got the game, that's fine. We will get this for free. But if Neumatix and Dimi, for instance, both decide to buy the game later after this is made an appearance, they might be paying a bit more for the game. A while ago, survival mode, official survival mode came out for Skyrim. Now here's the thing, I already had the special edition, all the DLCs, etc., and I've been playing it for ages, blah blah blah, and I got survival mode for free, so I can literally just click on an option on the loading screen for survival mode. But other people may have to buy it. People who didn't have that original game already installed would have to buy it, and it's about $10, which isn't fair, to be quite honest. It should have been something that was included as an option, free gratis, but that's Creation Club.
Yes.
This might be the situation with this. You know, it's a case of you literally have to have the game already, and Evil Laugh Games just said No Man's Sky the finished product.
Right. And that's a huge
Evil
hot button of mine. And he plays to my emotions a lot.
Well,
he knows how I feel about DLC and unpolished products.
Well, it seems to be what it should have been now. But this is going to be something of a cause for some contention, I think.
Oh, yeah. It's a big hug to the ones that bought the game originally.
Yeah, and I think what it might be is a reward for the people who were playing it when it first came out, who thought, oh my god, what have I wasted money on? You know, and then he did this huge update and people say, oh, this is what I spent money on, not wasted, but what I spent money on, and I should have had in the first place. And they're saying, here, have this is the consolation prize, this is a fruit basket from us, have this and enjoy. And if you don't, well, you're a smeghead. We're not interested. But as I see, people will have to actually pay out maybe a bit more for the game, but that depends on how good the game is. Is it going to be, oh yeah, that looks quite good, or is it going to be chain of expletives, oh my god, this is wonderful, right, I'm finishing work and I'm just going to play this for the rest of my life. We don't know yet, but we can live in hope.
I could spend the rest of my life playing that game. I was really immersed and enthralled by it when they came out with the next update, for sure. I didn't, like I said, I didn't give it a chance when it came out, but you know, I was also, because of that, because I didn't play it until the next update came out, my immediate reaction to it was, why are people bitching about this? This thing's brilliant. I couldn't differentiate what the base game was from the update, so I didn't have too much of an opinion about that. But for them to be able to think that they can go ahead and improve on something that they've already improved, I'm very interested to find out what happens next, for sure. And I want to see what's going to happen with those other two facets of the update. It was supposed to be 3 separate updates, but they're going to throw that all into one. And that comes out this summer. So does anybody have anything else that they want to add to No Man's Sky? Because I have another follow-up question.
Could I just say, that rumor that I picked up on about 4 of you in one ship, take it with a pinch of salt. It has no backing or background that I can ascertain at the moment.
Yeah, they're very vague about it right now. And
but as I say, it was just a rumor. It was just something that tickled me. But I'd like it, but I don't think it's going to happen.
Well, that's one of the things that I was. That's why I decided not to do a video on it, because right now there's so little information about the update that's coming out. Pretty much a video is, there's an update coming out, and you're pretty much going to read off what what you researched on the internet, which is like a paragraph, okay? And then there's nothing else to it. But it came out 6 days ago, so for me to drop a video on it to say, hey, guess what happened last week? It just doesn't make any sense. And there's really not much about those other 2 facets, and it's very, even that one portion of it that says it's going to be multiplayer, more like an MMO type thing, and have a social media platform to it, that's kind of vague in its own. So let me ask you guys this real quick. This update is coming out, based on what we know, coming out this summer. We also know Starfield, which is another space game that's being put out by Bethesda. That's rumored to be coming out at the end of the year, is it not?
I honestly don't know.
Really?
Yeah, that's a good question.
I would have to look it up.
Yeah.
Thirsty.
Right, there is something on Amazon, which is a placeholder for a Bethesda game.
It might be that.
It's on 3 platforms: PC, Xbox, PS Paint. Cross-platforming, Sony. That's all I can say. Now, a lot of people actually think that it is going to be Starfield and it's approaching rapidly, but I've got a feeling that it could be. It's not, I'm afraid, Fallout 3 remastered. It's just not. But it might be Blades. But if it was Blades, it would have been describing that on different platforms as well.
Absolutely.
Unless Apple Store is going to be pushing that on its own store.
Right. And to Evil Laugh's point, who just mentioned it in the chat, we'll know about that at E3 for sure. And that placeholder probably has a 12/31/2019 release date, which is their code of saying to be announced. That won't change until after June, once we've had E3, which Bethesda is confirmed to be going to E3 this year, so they will have a press conference there.
They're having their own one, actually.
Well, they always have their own, the little BE3.
Yeah, they booked a hall specifically for this, and it's a bigger hall, and it's all singing, all dancing.
Right, but they will be at E3, unlike
Yes.
Sony, which has officially pulled out, as well as EA. So I'll be interested to see what EA has to do. Although I don't necessarily care what EA has to do for the most part. Did I say
They're
that
busy
out loud?
working on their microtransactions right now.
Exactly. Exactly. Begging Disney to let them charge $5,000 for a full game experience. My God, I just hate it when that verbal diarrhea just comes out. But
Taurian excrement abounds.
but my question is, let's say that yes, the answer is yes, Starfield is coming out. How is the No Man's Sky Beyond update going to impact a game coming from Bethesda that has the same genre, space travel, space exploration? Or is it one of those things where this is a Bethesda game, okay? Nobody gets in the way of Bethesda. What are your thoughts, guys?
Only Bethesda gets in the way of Bethesda.
Goddamn good point.
Very good point,
That
very
is
valid.
a damn good point. Absolutely.
Aries being topical.
So, really though, the No Man's Sky update, do you think it'll affect the Bethesda game, or do we not know enough about it to say, hey, you know what, it's a similar game. They've come a long way in the last 3 years with No Man's Sky. It's going to hurt sales for Starfield, or what are your thoughts?
It's not going to affect the player base on No Man's Sky, and I'll tell you for why. No Man's Sky isn't a game, it is an experience. I know how that sounds. It sounds like I'm trying to be really trendy and like funky and this, that and the other, but it's true. That's not really a game, that's an experience. You don't play it like a game. You come in, you sit down at the computer and you pilot your ship, you mine, you build your base, you trade, you do all this. That is actually not gameplay. That's not running around shooting things. There is combat in it, yes, but it's still an experience rather than a game. It's something you do rather than something you play.
I'll agree with that 100%. It really is. Like I said, it's if I could get away with playing that every day for the rest of my life, all day, it's fantastic. It really is an experience. I completely agree with you on that. It's not cliche in this particular case.
Now, the thing... Sorry, go on.
Oh, I was just gonna say it has depth to it, and unfortunately, a lot of games don't have that anymore.
That's very true.
New games coming out.
Agree with you 110%. Really do.
Now, like aiding on that, will it affect, this new game coming out? I don't think it will affect it at all. Just because, kind of like what Dimi said, only Bethesda gets in the way of Bethesda.
Yes.
There's such a big fan base behind the games of Bethesda that, you know, and I don't know how to put it, like a smaller fan base. Like Bethesda's been around a lot longer, I would say, than Hello Games, and Hello Games is like this like entity compared to Bethesda. So I don't feel that their update's gonna affect Bethesda's new game at all, just because of how they've built up to it, how Bethesda's built their fan base up to now, and Hello Games is just starting kind of deal.
Sure. And that's a good point. And I guess my next question then would be, how well do you think Starfield will be received? Because that will be the first game. And we're talking about if this is, in fact, going to release at the end of this year. Typically, Bethesda has a history of releasing games in November. And they always have.
I can already see something happening with. I can already see a crap launch, just like Fallout 76. I can already see that happening, and that launch really is gonna. How should I say this? It's just like Fallout 76. They had a really crappy launch, and they lost a lot of players because of that. I see that happening for Starfield as well, honestly.
And that's exactly my point. Is there so much bad press from the release of 76, and I know that they just released Wild Appalachia, and it's actually getting some pretty positive feedback versus what's happened in the past. This has been a good week for Bethesda. But is that enough to say, hey, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and spend more money on another Bethesda game? I know I am, just because I'm a sucker for Bethesda. But I'm talking about functionality-wise. Is that going to affect Starfield sales, assuming it's coming out this year?
I'm guessing people are probably going to be more cautious, especially those people that did buy Fallout 76 at launch and didn't really have a good experience with that. I am one of those people. I think if it launches, I'm probably going to wait it out a little bit and see how it goes, how it is received before I actually go into buying the game.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
And that's just, and now while we're on the subject of 76, like I said, I didn't get a chance to play. I wanted to play it. Yesterday was the day I had kind of put aside to try out some of this Wild Appalachia. There's some really cool events going on this week that I understand that are limited time. So if you own the game, you haven't given it a chance in a while, it's getting really, really good reviews on the internet. If you guys want to give it a shot, this would be a good time to do it, because you can get some special items during some of these events. Neumatix, you have been playing this a lot on your channel, and we're going to get into your channel a little bit more here down the road. But what has been your experience with 76? We had Rune and I were the only two that really played it last week. I know that you played as well. I've done some streams with Dimi V Gaming on 76. So, and everybody knows my opinions about it right now based on the little exposure I have to the game from last week. But what has been your experience with Wild Appalachia and the overall design of Fallout 76?
Oh, man. Opening up a big can of worms here. Just because, I don't know if you guys know, I have a background in game design. I have a degree in it and stuff, and I have my own indie game company. And so I'm a little bit more forgiving, I guess, when it comes to certain games when they come out, and I like to look into them and see exactly why they're getting bad reviews, or why this is happening, why is that happening. And so I went in playing Fallout 76 with an open mind, even though a lot of people were like downing, like, oh, this is horrible, you know, there's so many glitches, there's so many problems. And what, you know, regular players, I would guess they probably don't even care either. They just want the game to work. You know, they just wanted to come out and be perfect and glorious and look amazing, and nothing's ever going to be wrong with it. But that, unfortunately, with an open world, how it is, and what they tried something new with, that was not ever going to be the case. They literally tried something new with a multiplayer aspect in their Fallout world, and it kind of tanked a little bit. But you know, they listened to their players, and they've slowly been trying to bring it back. But unfortunately, I saw earlier ELG was saying something about like that stigma. That stigma kind of stays with the game no matter how many good updates come to it. You know, someone that dropped the game when it first came out, and a year or two later, everyone's giving good reviews now. It's, oh, that's so much better, and that person still may not pick it up. But so Fallout 76, like, it was split up between their main branch in Maryland and then down in Texas with their new company, Battlecry Studios. And Battlecry Studios was supposed to head over it, and the two lead designers for MMOs were actually coming from the Star Wars online. I'm not exactly sure what the name of that one is. But when, because they had to change the engine from Fallout to a multiplayer aspect, and literally rewriting the code. Instead of calling on, you go from Fallout 3, Vegas, Fallout 4, it was calling on the player. Well, guess what? When you're an MMO, it's not just calling on one player, it's calling on multiple players. So they had to go into their old engine that's been around since Morrowind and revamp it. And that's coming from a studio that didn't have a lot of knowledge besides playing Bethesda games. They just kind of got bought out by ZeniMax. And then they also had to borrow technology from ID, which is another ZeniMax studio. Through all these different aspects, I think it was put together poorly. Like, it was a rush game kind of deal. Like, okay, we want to do this idea, let's throw it together. We're going to have you guys head over it because we don't know what to do with it because we've never done MMO besides, you know, ESO. And we're just gonna let you handle it, and we'll handle the story behind it. And it didn't work the greatest, but for all, you know, purposes, it pretty well compared to what other AAA companies probably would have done.
Okay, and what was some of the differences? What are some of the changes they've made today versus when it came out in November? Because I know that I think it was a general consensus in last week's podcast when we talked about this, that this is a game that came out way ahead of when it should have. And you kind of just backed that up with what you just said. But moving forward into 2019, what are some of the biggest differences you've noticed between how it was when it came out and the design how it is now?
I think it's a hell of a lot better. It's definitely a lot better than it was. I mean, you could definitely say it was probably when it first came out, maybe late beta phase, probably. And with all their updates, like, they listened. That's the big thing that they did, is they actually were listening to people with the problems with the games. Like, at first they were like, oh, we're not gonna have push to talk. That's not gonna be a thing. We just want you to go in there and talk to people. And then enough people rallied behind it, like, no, we want push to talk, and then it happened. So they actually listened, and because of listening to their community, that's what I believe is bringing the game a turnaround into a positive direction. Instead of being prideful and just being like, oh, no, we're just going to do it our way, because obviously that's not going to work.
Right.
No matter how strong of a fan base you have, that's not going to work. But from the last time I played the game, which honestly I've not tried out the new update, so I need to jump in on that.
Okay.
But yeah, from the last time I played it, I liked the changes that were happening.
So, and that's one thing that, yeah, I'm with you 100% on that. Like I said, I really wanted to get to it this week before the podcast so I could talk a little bit more intelligently about the update. I'm definitely going to have more information about it and actually give it a chance and kind of make note of the differences from the last time I played, which was in November. Like I said in the last podcast, I had some things come up that I had to stop streaming for a while towards the end of December. So I've been gone for about 3 months from the entire scene. And that includes a lot of the games I was playing. I haven't played No Man's Sky in 3 months. I haven't played Fallout 76 in 3 months. I'm just getting back into having a normal life without all these things happening at once. which is great. But it's something that I am willing to give another chance for sure, because at the end of the day, it's Bethesda, and you're right, they do listen. Bethesda's biggest issue is that they get in their own way. For sure, it's Bethesda getting in Bethesda's way, as was already mentioned. But then what you are looking at is, Ubisoft. They're a bunch of assholes. They're money grubbers. They're big on microtransactions, everything like that. But they also listen to their players, and that's why they're also so successful. So I think if you listen to what the players want, you can have unlimited success. I personally don't think that, going to what I was talking about before, Starfield, I don't think that sales are going to be affected by the shortcomings of Fallout 76, because it's Bethesda at this point. It's just the way I feel about it. What do you?
Yeah, they do have their fixed audience, so
they do, and it goes back to what Rune said. I said it in last week's podcast, and he said it in this week's podcast. Bethesda games are an experience over being a game, for sure, because they're so massive and because they're so epic. Now, one thing that Rothenium said last week, because he guessed it in our podcast, he said that the game came out way too early. Back to 76, I'm sorry. He said the 76 came out too early. It probably should have been pushed back to later this year. How much would you guys agree with that?
Oh, this is true. This is a very occurring problem nowadays in general with any game. They just push out games way too early instead of polishing them up. They just want to get them out and then patch them up later, and I don't feel like that's the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah, absolutely. You're exactly right, Dimi. There's so many games coming out now where they just kind of, all right, it's good enough, ship it. We need to make money on it. And I think it's a matter of they run out of money, like on the project. Like they budget too low, and they need to try and get the game out quick to make the profit back, or through microtransactions in some way, one way or another.
I'll agree 100% with that, to be quite honest, gents. It literally should have come out as soon as it did. Despite the world is beautiful, it really is. The environment's amazing.
Now,
the mechanics and the lag.
Oh god.
And the
I wouldn't agree with some statements by a few YouTubers I was watching on reviews of the game. They're like, "Oh, it's not even beta, it's alpha." No. You have no idea what you're talking about. It is not anywhere close to an alpha.
I would hate to play a Bethesda game in its alpha stages.
Dear God, no.
No, it's definitely not. I agree with Neumatix. It's not an alpha game, because, again, back to the world, because that's how I actually gauge a game. The world is beautifully done. I have noticed one error while I've been wandering around, and I wander around a hell of a lot. I mean, there's a big map. I've got to see it all. That's my attitude. And I have seen one error in that entire map, and that's quite impressive when you think about it. Pity about the lag and the fact that it kept getting dropped, but apart from that, the world is beautifully done.
Yeah,
it really is.
It is gorgeous, and I'm definitely a huge fan of the way that it looks and feels. It definitely, correct me if I'm wrong, I mean, it's obviously an opinion. It doesn't feel like other Fallout games, though. It feels quite a bit different.
Because it's green.
And that could be, but I'm talking about the overall gameplay and everything like that. Now,
the gameplay, sorry.
Yeah.
I thought you meant the environment.
I'm talking about overall. I mean, just the environment. You were saying that because it's green, that's a big reason why it feels different, right? There's
it is to me. It is. No, I wasn't taking a mick. I was literally. Yeah. That's why it feels so different.
Yeah, also just the fact that you're playing with other people instead of wandering around on your own also already makes a big difference.
Yeah, and I have noticed that when you play Fallout and Fallout 2, Fallout 3, well, specifically Fallout 3, Fallout New Vegas, and Fallout 4, when you're playing by yourself, because it's designed to feel like It's designed to play by yourself. I don't feel lonely. I had noticed when I played a single player on 76, it had that lonely feeling to it, because I think psychologically we know it's supposed to be a multiplayer experience. Do you guys also feel that way? Do you feel different when you play Fallout 4, which is designed to be a single player? When you play that versus Fallout 76 by yourself, do you guys get that lonely feeling, quote unquote?
Yeah.
I'll let everybody else answer because I've got a bit to say on this.
Oh, go right ahead, man.
Well, no, it's basically just there is something oddly satisfying about wandering around on your own, yeah, but coming across people now and again.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah.
You know, it's like walking in the country, for instance, and you come across another hiker. You know, oh, morning, beautiful day, oh yeah, spiffing, and off you go. It's knowing that other people are around you, and often you've gotten into a fight and you think, bad idea, this was a silly thing to do. And then all of a sudden a gang of people verge over the hill, vest the hill rather, and lay into the thing that's giving you trouble. And then it's, hello, thumbs up, and cheerio, the old naff off. And,
the old nap off.
That's something I like about that. I really do. It's like in ESO. Now, I do a lot of that on my own as well, and that's fine. So does Sea Bloom. But every now and again you come across a player who is lower level than you, yeah, and they're getting the living daylights kicked out of them by a troll or something, and you go over and you level the playing field. Or you could be in a dungeon and a gang would run in and beat the crap out of the guys who were all, you know, kicking your teeth in. Now, the thing is, it's really nice to see people around you, but you don't have to interact with them. But it's still nice to know that they're there. And I do really enjoy that aspect of multiplayer games. So when you're with a gang of mates or on your own, you are aware that there are people around you that you can say hello to and possibly trade with and help out in a fight with. And it always makes the world look far more immersive.
That's a good point.
The problem with, you see, yeah, okay. You are the lone wanderer, yeah, in Fallout 3. You are the courier, the lone courier in Fallout New Vegas. In Fallout 4, you are the sole survivor. So, as you just said, Maz, it gives you that sense of isolation. You're it. You know, you are the one who's influencing this world. But in Fallout 76, there's a big gang of you, and you're influencing the world as well. Like in ESO, you complete stories and it actually updates your, you know, the legend of MazTech the Marauder, you know, or the Mangy Cat as I prefer to call him.
Nice.
And it's constantly on there, and I do appreciate that as well. And the fact that you can interact with all these people, or you can just go off and explore Vanderfell or the Clockwork City, and that is an aspect that is literally paired and interwoven with the environment itself. Rant over.
I like it. It's a really good explanation. So
that's my diatribe for the night.
But I'm sure that's not true. But
no, it isn't. I'm lying. There's more.
Oh, brace yourselves. But
that's where that came from.
Well, thank you guys for talking through that with me. Neumatix, thank you very much for giving us that extra information about the design and everything like that. I thought that was really cool. I want to talk real quick to Dimi about his channel real quick. Got a couple questions for you, Dimi.
Okay.
And everything I ask you, you must say in Dutch, which means you speak in English, and then you play it backwards, and that's how you speak Dutch. So, couple different questions for you, man. You and I have been friends for over a year, which, oh my God, a whole year. On YouTube, that's like dog years, +3. So we've been friends for like 10 years. Okay?
Pun intended, or?
Well, that's a good. Yeah, I didn't mean it that way, but I guess it could work out that way because we are going to definitely touch base on that for sure. Dimi is a fantastic creator. Started out doing a lot of pre-records. Huge game collection. Big PS4 fan. Last Valentine's Day, instead of professing his love to his wife,
no.
he
I thought
actually
people had forgotten about that.
did a video professing his love to his PS4. You're always there for me. You never let me down. And I thought that was one of the funniest friggin' videos I'd ever seen, because he was seriously
also one of the least viewed videos, actually.
He's talking to his wife, okay? I mean, the words he's saying. He's talking to his wife, and he might as well have made a friggin' poem. This guy has beautiful words, bringing a tear to my eye. I think we're losing Rune here.
Oh, God.
So, also what Dimi has done with his channel is a lot of collection videos. A big PS4 collector. How many games do you have in your PS4 collection now?
My PS4 collection. That's a good question. I kind of lost count. Definitely over 300 so far.
Over
physical.
300 physical copies of the game. That is insane. That is absolutely insane. And
yeah, it cost a shit ton of money too.
And why did you decide to start a YouTube channel? What compelled you to get into that?
Well, I don't know. I kind of felt like I was having this huge ass collection, but I wasn't really doing enough with it. It was just sitting there, and I was like, maybe I should just like share this with the world. And yeah, that's kind of how I started thinking about it. But it took me quite a while to actually start doing it. Yeah, but eventually I took that step, and yeah, this is what you see right now.
Oh wow! And I'm glad that you did, man, because you're a really good friend. Learned a lot from you. Love
Appreciate that.
Watching your content for sure. You're a very underrated YouTube creator. You do a very, very good job. You're very engaging. And I suggest that anybody that hasn't checked out Dimi Gaming, his channel link is in the description. Please check him out. Subscribe to him. Most recently, been playing Devil May Cry 5, which just came out recently, but also been playing Metro.
Yeah, I already
Exodus.
finished it.
Nice. You must have finished it this morning.
Yes, I did actually.
But more, not as recent, but before that, he was playing Metro Exodus, and that had a lot of buzz around it leading up to its release. Tell me, Dimi, has that game lived up to the hype?
Well, honestly, I didn't really play all the Metro games before that, but in my experience, I really like this game. It's a game set in Russia, a post-apocalyptic Russia in Moscow. They captured the feel really well, and I'm not normally big on shooter games. I'm like just getting into them because normally I'm more like a RPG kind of guy. But it was definitely a good game to start with. I really enjoyed it.
And what is the game about, so to speak?
Well, it's about this group of people, Russian of course, that speak English, very convenient. And they are trapped in Moscow, away from all radars. Nobody has ever heard of them again because their radio, their satellites are blocked, so they can't reach other people. And they eventually find out, and they try to get away from Moscow, which is not very easy, sort of say. And they try to get out. They find this train. I'm not gonna say too much. They try using this train to get through other parts of Russia, and yeah, lots of shit happens along the way, which I'm not going to spoil right here.
Yes, definitely no spoilers, but if you guys are not playing Metro or curious about it, want to see a little bit of gameplay before you go ahead and get it, definitely check out Dimi's channel.
I appreciate that, man.
Absolutely, you do a great job. One video that stuck out as well, other than the Valentine's Day I love my PS4 video, was the latest Pokemon reaction video that you made.
Oh yeah, that one.
You were ultra excited about that, man. Tell me why you're so excited about a Pokemon game coming out, because I'm a little bit older than you, maybe a couple days older than you. And
yeah, a couple of days.
Just a couple days. And no laughing.
I'm not laughing. I'm dead serious.
I was talking to Neumatix.
Oh, sorry.
I heard that. So,
Ice Age is more like.
Oh.
well, no, that's okay that Rune says that, because I know for a fact that he's older than I am, but that's neither here nor there. So, my question to you is,
Yep.
what is the big difference between past games that you've played and these games coming out that's got you so excited?
Well, it's just the fact that it's coming to a console this time. I've always played these kinds of games on the handheld, on my Game Boy. I grew up with them. I played the hell out of those games, and just the fact that it's finally coming to console, it got me all hyped. I don't know what it is. I've kind of gotten past the point of playing Pokemon on my handheld system all the time. I am ready for playing this on console now.
Very cool. So, is this the first game that's coming out on console?
Well, in that format, yeah, we already had Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Pokemon Let's Go Eevee, but those weren't really the same types of games, because they added the gimmick that you have to use a Switch controller to actually like throw at your screen to throw a ball and catch a Pokemon, and the leveling system was totally different as well. So yeah, it didn't really feel like the old games to me, but this time around they're bringing it back completely the way it used to be, and I'm pretty stoked for that.
Very cool. I noticed that they had a couple new Pokemons that were coming out that you had mixed reactions about. What was the reason why you liked some of them and pretty much friggin' hated some of the other ones?
Well, I'm not gonna say I hated them, but it's every time a new generation comes out, it's always the same. You get new Pokemon, you think they're looking kind of weird, but yeah, we just haven't gotten acquainted with those Pokemon yet. So also a lot depends for me on how they're gonna evolve, because all starter Pokemon have evolutions, so it kind of depends on how those are gonna look. But yeah, starter Pokemon always kind of look silly. But yeah, we'll see how it turns out. Might be good, might be bad. We'll see.
I gotta let you in on a little secret. All Pokemons look silly.
No, this is true.
Yeah. I mean, what is Pikachu supposed to be?
That's a good question.
Is it a cat? Is it a little tiny bear? Is it a lightning bolt? I mean, what the hell is it?
It's a combination of all of that.
Yeah.
Is that the one that looks like a giant yellow gerbil?
Yes.
With the electric tail going on there.
Lightning mouse.
The lightning mouse.
Lightning mouse.
An electrified yellow
description
gerbil.
in the Pokédex. Believe it or not, the lightning mouse.
I'm so sorry for getting the animal wrong, guys.
Oh,
I mean,
I
got
you.
chat's blowing up right now. They're like, "Hey, you asshole! It's a mouse."
He's a lightning mouse.
It's a lightning
What are you
mouse.
saying?
Get it right.
Charizard doesn't look
Get
cool.
your facts straight, man.
Yeah, I know. I mean, jeez. I should just probably never talk about Pokemon again. I'd be okay with that. But I know that you guys are fans about it. I did take notice to how excited you were about that game coming out. Watched you play the latest version, and though you were excited about it, you didn't seem to be as excited about that game as you are about this one coming out. When does that come out?
Yeah, it's because of what I said, because the system was totally different. I didn't like the system they had built out for that. A lot of people were hyped about that system, but it wasn't really my cup of tea. I'm like this really nostalgic guy. I hold on to those old games, and yeah, now it's gonna be playable just the way it was, like it used to be, and that's why I'm so hyped.
Very, very cool. Do you know when that's coming out? Have they mentioned a release date?
Oh, it's also the end of the year somewhere.
Very.
I'm guessing it's probably gonna be October, November, something like that.
Excellent.
But no official release date has yet been announced.
Dude, I'm definitely very appreciative of you coming on to the show, man, onto the podcast. That's really, really cool.
I'm thankful you're having me.
Great having you here for sure. I really want to open it up real quick to on my Discord here. We have a Tech Talk channel in Discord. And how that works is you are able to go in throughout the week and ask questions. So I kind of want to do kind of like a round robin, round table type format here. We have a few questions that we can ask, and then I want to talk a little bit to Neumatix and get to know him a little bit better as well. Wheezy's World asks, I'm interested to know what's the first game you played that you really fell in love with and made you the gamer you are today. RunesZar, do you want to start with that?
Morrowind. End of story. It is Morrowind. I had played a couple of games, one of the major ones that I did was it was given away on a PC magazine, and it was Thief 2, and it was so big, the demo, it was like I was doing the entire game, which was quite good. But I hadn't played a proper game, shall we say. It was always sort of basically sprites and crap like that. And then I was given a copy of Morrowind, and I was received an injury, which I won't go into, and I was laid up for a while. And I started playing that. I thought, well, let's give it a go. After 15 minutes, I was completely hooked. Seriously.
Digital crack.
Basically, yes. It was just superb experience, superb game. Storyline was great. The background was great. New world, the way they did the races, everything about it. Nowadays, it's really stilted and, you know, bad graphics and things. But at the time, it was state of the art. It was, you know, net mesh models, full 360 environment, excellent. Morrowind.
It's funny that you mentioned your injury is how you got hooked on Morrowind, because that exact same scenario happened to me with Skyrim. I had an injury back in 2012. The game came out in 2011. I hadn't touched it in an entire year. Those of you that know me know that I'm not a big fan on fads, and they were just way too much about Skyrim at that point. But I was like, I'm going to be laid up for about 6 weeks with a knee injury.
Did you take an arrow to the knee?
I took an arrow to the knee. Yes, I did. Very good. So what happened? I started playing that, and I got hooked on it. I mean, I literally played 500 hours not in one sitting, but inside of a couple of months while I was down and out. I ended up being out off my legs, off my knee for about 12 weeks. So that's a lot of time to play that game and just run it into the ground. So that's really, really funny. What about you, Dimi? What is a game that you played that you fell in love with and made you the gamer you are today? And that's a really good question, by the way, Wheezy's World. Thank you very much for that question.
That is a hard question. If I would have to say which games made me start gaming overall, that would be Tetris. that's the game that got me playing. I got Tetris when I think I was like 5 years old or something. I got my Game Boy, got Tetris, and that's what got me hooked. But if I would say which game defined me as the gamer that I am today, because I have a great love and appreciation for RPG games. I would say it's Final Fantasy VII, and I know it's a cheesy game to choose. Lots of people say that, but it really is. It really is, because PlayStation 1 was the first console I ever bought, and Final Fantasy VII was the first RPG I ever played on that console, and it instantly got me hooked. It really did. I love that game to death.
Final Fantasy VII is probably the most transcendent, transitional game in the series. And it was met with massive acclaim. It's very, very, very popular.
It should be. It should be.
What about?
It was the very first 3D game for Final Fantasy as well. So they really got the ball rolling there.
Absolutely, and had Evil Laugh Gaming in chat saying that game changed my life. I think that changed a lot of people's lives, without question. What about you, Neumatix? What is a game that you played that you really fell in love with and made you the gamer you are today?
Oh man, there's so many, but probably gonna have to piggyback off of that and say Final Fantasy VII.
Ah,
Literally, my favorite of all time. Like, you have no idea when I heard they were remaking it, and it was gonna be like, I don't know, like the graphics of the day. I was like a little kid inside. Like, it was coming back out, like, oh my god, yes! So,
on that note, I really hope they don't screw it up.
yeah, that's another big thing. I'm like, oh god, I hope they do it right.
Well, Evil Laugh Gaming just mentioned in chat that they're doing the Final Fantasy VII remake in 2022 on the PS5. So that's probably
Is that something official?
We need-
It is something that I was expecting though.
We need to get that
I didn't see
confirmed.
that one coming out on PS4.
Yep.
Definitely.
And here's the thing: Sony went ahead and when did they talk about this remake? This remake was like 3 years ago, right? They first rolled it out 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah, something like that.
Didn't they scrap it first? Like,
Yeah,
said
they were
were
first
going to-
not gonna do it, but then they got an entire different team on it, and now they're completely rebuilding what they already had before.
And they were going
So
to
I'm
episodic.
thinking that trailer that we got before, I'm not even sure if it's still gonna be like that.
Wow.
And-
Wow.
Yeah, so we'll definitely get that. We'll definitely see what we can do about confirming that. I mean, if Sony goes ahead and pulls out of E3 like they have, that might be part of the show, especially where I highly anticipate them unveiling the PS5, or at least starting to have the conversation
Yeah.
at this E3.
Yeah, it's about high time.
Yeah.
It's about high time.
I guess my answer to this would be, and I'm definitely dating myself, making myself a little bit older than you guys here, would be Final Fantasy IV. It was actually released in the US as Final Fantasy II back in 1990. And that's the first game that I really got hooked on. It's really the game that got me immersed in RPGs. Definitely made me the player that I am today. I'm big on, even today, I'm big on upgrading. Updating, improving, building, any game that has customization or any type of ability to improve a stat or upgrade your armor and stuff like that, I'm hooked. Not necessarily hooked per se. If the game sucks, it sucks. But that's a facet that I look for in a lot of my games. Now, if you look back on my channel over the past year, Fallout 4, you can increase your stats, you get perks, you can improve your character. Skyrim, you increase your perks, you increase your character's level, you increase their hit points, everything like that. It's a phenomenal type system for me. And that was no different when it came to Final Fantasy. But although Final Fantasy IV was a little bit more like, you leveled up, you need this amount of experience, and we're going to just give you an arbitrary increase. I mean, if you started over from level 1 to level 2, you gain, maximum hit points of 40. The next time you play, it can be 55. It changes. So
And get the best weapons from the shops.
And you get the best weapons from the shops. Except for, well, in Final Fantasy IV, I could talk about this all day, but I'm not going to. But it was a great experience for me that definitely got me into the RPG and upgrading genre, and that has never changed in the last 29 years. C. Bloom writes, what platform do you play on? Why do you choose that one? And would you ever switch, and for what reason? So that's a 3-part question.
Well, I only own a PC, specifically because I use it for work as well. And I watch YouTube and TV on it and God knows what. So it's only the PC, really. I doubt I would change. Although, I am tempted to get a PS4 for an upcoming game that I'm looking forward to, which apparently runs better on the PS4 than it does on the PC.
That makes no sense.
Yeah, exactly. That's really what gets me, or might be a PS4 exclusive. I hope it isn't. I really hope it isn't. But it's PC really all the way with me.
You're asking the wrong guy, man. I have everything, But yeah, if I have to choose, of course I'm gonna go with currently PS4. I have an Xbox, but problem with Xbox is they don't really have that many exclusives, and that's a pity, because most of the games that are on Xbox, you can also get on PS4. So I'm like, why should I play on the Xbox if I can also play him? Nintendo only has their specific kind of games, so yeah, you cannot play those games at any other consoles. So that's why I have that one as well. But yeah, mostly my console of choice at this moment is the PS4.
Ah, very cool.
I currently do everything on my PC. The reason why? I spent way too much money building my PC. I used to be like Xbox all the way, like for the longest time. I have every system as well, except for the Switch. I need to get that one. But literally, my consoles usually collect dust unless my wife plays them, and then I'm always on my PC.
Very, very cool. Answer that question. I really, I started out playing on console. I mean, and some of you guys really bust my balls because I still use a controller to play on PC just because I can't be bothered with
yeah, man, what's up with
I
that?
know.
Ooh,
and it's something that happens every time. Somebody inevitably mentions it. I'm getting away from that though, okay? And when I play when I play Raft, I have no choice but to play on keyboard and mouse. So I can do it. It's just a preference. Now, we're talking about I started playing console games in 1985. So that's
I wasn't even born then.
Shut up. That's 34 years. And so I've always played that. It was just last year that I was able to get a PC that would actually run these games, okay? So what happened was I started getting some of the games that I had on PS4 and Xbox One, and I have all the consoles as well, including the Switch. But I even have a Wii U, a Wii. It's crazy. But I find that playing on the PC is better for me because I'm huge on graphics. That's my biggest thing. I'm really big on graphics. So I needed that. So
yeah, but that's true. I mean, we're not going to start a console war here, but yeah, you can definitely get the best graphics on PC. That's for sure. Right. Also, it's normal that you don't know that you don't know well how to play the keyboard. It's something you have to learn. I couldn't do it at first either, but I played World of Warcraft for like 10 years, and I learned it that way.
Yes. Yes.
Why'd you stop playing World of Warcraft, Dimi?
Because it was always the same. It never stopped. I was so hooked. I finally, well, I got away from it because I got banned. that was my that's what you wanted me to say,
I
right?
was baiting you with that question for sure.
The truth comes out.
and I was like, okay, you know what? This is my time to quit.
Right, exactly.
You can't ban me. I quit.
Yeah, I'll leave, but not because you told me to. And real quick. Late to the Fallout asked a question that I meant to ask you while we were talking about your channel. How do you use Face Rig with Doggo and not eat up your CPU?
Just have a good computer. I don't know.
There we go. Have a good computer, dude. That works for me for sure.
No, I don't think it really eats up that much from a CPU. I don't think so. It's pretty easy to use. Also. I don't really have any issues with it.
Angel asks, which game or games coming out this year are you most excited for? Let's start with Rune.
One I am. Well, I don't really get excited about that sort of thing. There are better things to get excited about.
If it's not Fallout, I'm not excited.
Even that, I'm just looking forward to it. But there is one that's coming out called The Sinking City.
Yes.
Oh, that looks spiffingly, spankingly spectacular.
It looks good. It does.
It's based on the Cthulhu mythos, but it's not because they were under license. Sorry, they gave license to another game, and there was some problems with Arkham House Publishing, which I believe is the copyright holders for H.P. Lovecraft's works. But it looks so good. It's just one of these. It draws you into the mindset that a person who is a character within the book, might have, and it just looks incredibly well done. I'm looking forward to that, definitely. So, hope that answers your question.
RunesZar, how would you react if I told you that next month they're coming out with a completely polished remake of Morrowind?
Throws money at screen.
Yeah.
I would literally be ransacking my wallet.
Okay, so you do get excited about these things then, huh?
Well, I mean, the thing is, that's never going to happen, unfortunately. So I know you're fearing Mr. MazTech.
Yes, I am. This is all hypothetical.
I would be very, very interested. I would watch developments on that keenly. And just hope that at one point, Mr. Howard, this is directed at you. I will say it in an idiom which you will understand. Get off your greasy ass, smooth skin, and get the goddamn Morrowind game released. And leave it at that.
Fair enough.
Famous last words.
Famous last words.
What about you, Dimi?
Works.
Which game or games coming out this year are you most excited for?
Oh, there's a bunch, man. There's a bunch. Well, it used to be Final Fantasy VII Remake, but that's not gonna happen. So, if I had to choose, I think I'd probably go with The Last of Us 2, actually. I have really fond memories of playing that first one, even though I sucked at it. The story really got me sucked in, and I can't wait to see what's happening next.
That was a fantastic game.
Sure was.
Loved that game. It was incredible.
But there's definitely some more games to look out for that are coming out this year. So yeah, it's hard to choose.
How about you, Neumatix?
I think the one I have my eye on is Outer Worlds.
Outer Worlds.
I think, yep, Outer Worlds. It's from Obsidian, and the original creators are devs behind Fallout New Vegas.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, it's I don't know. I saw a few trailers for it. It looked really promising, and some good humor behind it too. So I'm looking forward to that one. They don't have an official release date though. It's just sometime this year.
Very nice. I would say
That does look good. Assuming
that it's going to come out this year. I'm looking at Starfield. I'm the sucker that can get punched in the face by Bethesda, and I'll thank them. And it's probably something that I got to get away from.
Yes, please, sir. Give me some more.
Yeah, absolutely. Those of you that are listening to the podcast, please feel free to leave a comment below. What games are you looking forward to coming out in 2019? I'm going to move on from these questions, and we'll get to the rest of these questions next week because we are running low on time. I wanted to talk to Neumatix real quick. Neumatix really picking up speed. The channel was created in 2014, but currently has 480 subscribers. Those of you who have not checked him out, his link is in the description below. Please go subscribe to him. Really fun to watch, very engaging streamer. Most recently doing a lot of Minecraft. That seems to have been picking up with a lot of streamers in recent weeks. Minecraft is one of those timeless games. It's gonna stream it like it's going out of style, then it goes out of style, and then they stream it like it's going out of style. It's one of those games that it's a recyclable game where you never play the game the same way twice. I don't need to explain what Minecraft is to you guys. I'm just explaining that it's a very popular game and it's something that's going to be streamed probably forever. Also, Realm Royale is another big one that he plays. Also been playing some Fallout 4 and most recently Fallout 76, which is why he was able to talk about the world a lot better than I could, for sure. Neumatix, thank you again for coming on to the podcast. I really, really appreciate that.
Thank you.
Let me ask you this. What is it that compelled you to start a channel?
Oh man, so as you said, I started my channel back in 2014, but I don't even think I uploaded anything back then. I pretty much started 2 years ago, not even really into it. It was more like, oh, these guys, and this, I was like, I think I was just getting into playing Minecraft, and I was looking up redstone videos and stuff, and I'm like, oh, these guys do this for a living. Maybe I should try and do that. And then I got into it, and I was like, oh my god, what did I get myself into?
Right?
Yeah, and it's like, oh, this is way harder than I thought it was going to be. But I was trying to niche down. I kept watching all these other, like, Tim Schmoyer, How to Grow Your Channel, and some other, I can't remember the other guy's name. But trying to niche, they're like, oh, niche down on one game, and a variety of gamers don't make it anymore, blah, 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 blah. So I'm like, all right, I'll just do Minecraft, and I don't see anyone doing really good mod reviews, so I'll do those. And I'd actually been watching another YouTuber, MXR. He does Skyrim mods, and I don't watch him anymore, but I don't know if he still does them or not. But he was kind of my inspiration for doing that, and over, I don't know, cranking it out seriously for about a year and a half, I wasn't picking up much, any eyes on me. I wasn't getting many subscribers, so I'm like, all right, what else can I do? And I started doing streaming, and I started getting into the streaming gig, and since then, it's been doing pretty well.
That's awesome, man. I think you had a little under 100 subscribers when I met you, and that was probably, I've known you for about, I want to say, 3 to 5 months, closing in on 500 subscribers now. Keep up the good work, man. You're doing a phenomenal job. You're a great guy. You're fun as hell to watch. I have not been able to get on everybody's streams as much lately since I've been back, but I'm trying to work my way back into the fold so I can see y'all. But really entertaining guy, very engaging, pays attention to his chat. If you guys are looking for a nice, relaxing stream with good gameplay, definitely check him out.
Thank you. Thank you so much, man.
Well, thank you for
and
coming on.
not only, but also, he's a good gamer to actually game with. ESO. Very good.
Yes, we did do a stream with Neumatix ESO. We'll have to invite you back on the channel for that soon, man. It's been too long.
Oh yeah, I'd love it. I'm always up for branching out to play some more games.
Absolutely.
Can I like put one more question out there,
Of
or
course.
do we have time?
No,
anymore?
we got time. We can make time for that. We can do whatever we
No,
want. We're adults.
I just wanted to ask after what Neumatix said about who his inspiration is. Who is your inspiration? Who is everybody's inspiration? Who is a content creator for doing what you do?
That's actually a really good question, man.
Drop the bomb there.
Yeah, that's a really good question.
Well, he's actually with us at the moment for me. It's actually MazTech.
Well, I appreciate that, man. Thank you so much.
Because what happened was, he was urging me on to make some content, and I didn't really know what to do. But some of the lovely people who are actually in the chat now, and some who are sadly absent at the moment, i.e. WinZeus, wanted to see my builds. Wheezy wanted to see some of my Fallout 4 builds. So I just filmed those, and you know, I've settled MazTech builds and put them up. And they were so nice about them. I put up some more, but it was Maz who actually said, "Oh yeah, go on. You should do. Yeah, go on, put them up." And eventually, I folded and put some up. So it's MazTech Gaming, my hero.
Well, I appreciate that.
So, but genuinely, no, honestly, no, but seriously, it was MazTech. So
I really appreciate that, man.
my pleasure, sir. All true.
Yeah, that was I mean, combination of a couple, but I mean the one that really sticks out, and it's kind of weird because, like, I don't know, I felt like he was like a funny, down-to-earth guy that didn't give a crap what anyone else thought. He just did what he wanted to do, and that was just Skyrim mods, and that was MXR. And he still does not give a crap about YouTube's algorithm or if they demonetize him. He just puts up even if it's not really to their to YouTube's standards.
Pushes through. There you go.
Yep. Yeah, and I like that. I like that.
That's kind of how I've gotten in the past couple of months, especially, where, they continue to take something. I'm not going to get into that this late in the show.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
Rothenium.
No.
And I actually mentioned it during last week's podcast. Rothenium inspired me to get into streaming. My kids inspired me to start a channel, but streaming was definitely, and that's probably 95% of this channel at this point is streams. So I have to give Rothenium the nod, and he taught me how to, when I started my channel, shortly after I started my channel, he taught me how to edit video and audio and everything like that, which is why we don't have the music in the background for today, is because it's easier to cut everything and then add the music afterwards. So, yeah, it was definitely Roth.
Oh, well, for me, I don't know if you know him. Metal Jesus Rocks. Have you heard of him before?
No.
That's an awesome name.
Nobody ever heard of this guy before. What is this?
That is a hell of a name.
Yeah. Well, actually, he's actually a game collector like I am. He also owns a massive collection. I've been following him for I think for 10 years or something. I really love the videos he makes, and I just wanted to be like him, since I also had a big collection. I wanted to do what he did. Streaming wise, I guess it's also kind of MazTech who got me rolling into it. I'm glad I did, because I absolutely love it. I never thought that I was gonna be streaming. I never had that plan. Yeah, it just kind of happened. So,
well, that means a lot, man. The one thing that I got out of streaming that I didn't get out of pre-recorded videos is the community. Now, you're going to have people in your pre-recorded videos. They're going to go ahead and they're going to leave comments. Left a big old like for you, ha ha ha, which is great, but that does not build.
But I didn't really watch it.
Exactly. Oh wow, I watched 15 seconds. Oh, good job. I mean, we could have said that person sucked and gone 5 minutes into why that person sucked, and they'd be like, big like for you. But one thing that I noticed is I was able to build a lot of rapport with people like you, Dimi. I got to know you because we were both pre-recording. That's how we started talking. But we really started to form a bond and a really close friendship once we were both streaming. And then same thing with Rune. I never would have met RunesZar had I never gotten into streaming. And RunesZar is a very, very good friend of mine. And we've got our own podcast together now. I mean, that's how good of a friend he is. Same thing with Neumatix. Same thing with Rothenium. Being in his streams, I knew Rothenium when he started streaming, and I was doing pre-records. But I met him before streaming. Most of the people that I know now, Wheezy, Gaia, Hellraiser, and 10 million more people. Not literally, but hopefully someday soon. I wouldn't have been able to get the rapport or build the community that I have without the streaming. So thank you to each and every one of you. You guys all inspired me. I was inspired by Roth to start streaming. I was inspired by all of you to continue streaming. Is that fair? Go ahead and take that as a yes. Don't say anything if you agree.
That's
Smile. Smile and
negativity.
Nod. Smile and nod.
Oh wait, we gotta say something. You can't see me.
But that is going to do it for today's podcast. Big thank you to RunesZar, Dimi V Gaming, and Neumatix. Please make sure you check out all their channels. You guys have a great night. Thank you guys for joining us again on the podcast.
Well, thanks for having us, man.
Yeah,
We're
thank you so much.
I hope you guys have a phenomenal night. RunesZar, would you like to say goodbye?
Good night, ladies and gentlemen. Do have a pleasant sleep, and I will see you very soon on the MazTech Gaming channel.
Hell yes. If you guys enjoyed this podcast, please make sure you smash that like button and subscribe to the channel for more podcasts like this on the way. Thank you for joining, guys, and as always, thank you for being a gamer, and we will see you next time. Have a great night.